it's not non-distinction between normal state and state of exception, but the normalization of the state of exception.
It's
Say Guantanamo.
right.
So, and the thing that that is a when I guess I haven't read the text, so I just blind guessed. I guess the distinction that's why he said it is following Schmidt that it is necessity. Maybe it's like this that when we talk about that law is as a existence, it is divided into two things. One the law as a means, and then the law and the law in the end, the regime of law for itself. Say for when you talk about 例外谈, well, I guess Hobbes by his theory, it is implied that the law he's talking about is a means, is a tool. But comparing the case but comparing the authority that we assume we kind of we are giving government the authority, the origin of the authority of the government as a lawmaker and a law enforcer. That why the logic of the government is bypassing the law, the law as a means is actually implying that we all understand that there is a law for itself, which is ends. So that the state of exception parallel to the structure of structure of law, the internal structure of law is far beyond necessity. It's actually inbuilt.
Right.
Right. So why that's the logic of so many extra lawful acts and policies erected by the U.S. government and people. At least most of the Americans agree with that, because there is a split in the concept, so to speak, in the concept of law.
Right.
And that may be the problem. The problem has some relation with the discussion raised by Agamben, that the state of exception is the sovereignty. Well, he's not. He's talking as I understand. He's both at the same time talking about the political and the legal aspect of this concept.
Right.
Maybe I just into.
But then my point is kind of that, I mean, what I'm trying to reconcile is kind of his statement that what we associated with the state of exception has become unexceptional.
Yeah, popularized.
Right. But at the same time, there's a dialectical relationship between what is exceptional and non-exceptional. Right?
Yeah, that's
because we always have to maintain this distinction between what is exceptional and what is non-exceptional.
Yeah.
Right? But then there's this kind of interpenetration between the exception and the non-exception, wherein what is exceptional is gradually incorporated into what is not exceptional.
Yeah, but there may be a difference. There may be a difference before our time. The dialectics is relatively simple. The exception is said to be something external.
Right. Well, I mean, that's kind of what we had in absolutism, right? Like, I mean, if we kind of think about Foucault, and like Foucault, what he says in like Discipline and Punish, right, is that the sovereign, like the king, sovereign law is always incarnated in the king, and the king can overrule any kind of, any kind of legal order. Right? Whereas in our modern societies,
其實喺 sorry 打斷，佢見到 Homo Sacer 裏邊有講得比較多個法律本身嗰存在即係嗰個性質係點？好似一個 threshold 啦，一個門檻咁樣啦，佢去將一啲 subject 去 include 入去佢裏邊啦。咁所以即係好似頭先阿 Lin 講，表面睇一啲 exception 嘅嘢，其實只不過係佢一種運作嘅一個logic。
係啊，咁就大家先，因為我哋咧就借場就唔收費，咁就如果各位支持同類型嘅活動繼續喺呢度舉行嘅話咧，咁就可以傳一傳個箱，咁係啦，咁就可以多啲少數目嘅人。
Then what I'm wondering is, in our modern democracies, is there really such a difference with absolutism? Because I mean, later when he talks in the book, when he talks about how George W. Bush says, okay, I am the full commander of the U.S. armed forces and stuff.
I think just like Foucault mentioned in his book on government's kind of technique of administration in the model of modern institutions is different from ancient absolute monarchy or something. It's like absolute rule or something else. It's institutional framework of a law system that operates exception, inclusion and exclusion of these subjects. 或者咁樣啦，我哋就因為本身就 set 咗就大概去到答半咁。本 本諗住讀 Chapter 1嘅，咁依家我哋仲有少少時間，我哋都可以讀多幾頁，咁我哋可能下次都要再即係繼續讀 Chapter 1其他嘅內容啦。咁我哋再繼續 go through 到可能14頁左右，跟住我哋再有個簡短嘅 discussion， 咁跟住我哋再定即係下個禮拜。
你不如預住去到 a brief history of state of exception 之前啦，即係1.7。
好，1點我哋 go through 1.7裏邊講啲嘢。
其實我講。The problem of the state of exception presents here analogy to that of the right of resistance. It has been much debated, particularly during constituent assemblies, whether the right of resistance should be included in the text of the constitution. The draft of the current Italian constitution includes an article that reads, when the public powers violate the rights and fundamental liberties guaranteed by the Constitution, resistance to oppression is a right and a duty of the citizen. This proposal, which follows a suggestion by Giuseppe Rossetti, one of the most prestigious of the leading Catholic figure, met with sharp opposition. Over the course of the debate, the opinion that it was impossible to legally regulate something that, by its nature, was removed from the sphere of positive law prevailed, and the article was not approved. However, in the Constitution of the German Federal Republic, there is an article, Article 20, that unequivocally legislates the right of resistance, stating that against anyone who attempts to abolish that order, the democratic constitution, all Germans have a right of resistance, with no other remedy are possible. The opposing arguments here are exactly symmetrical to the ones that divide advocates of legalizing the state of exception in the text of constitution or a special law, and those jurists who believe its normative regulation to be entirely inappropriate. It is certain in any case that resistance were to become a right or even a duty, the omission of which could be punished. Not only would the Constitution end up positing itself as an absolutely untouchable and all-encompassing value, but the citizens' political choice would also end up being determined by juridical norms. The fact is that in both the right of resistance and the state of exception, which is ultimately at issue, is the question of the juridical significance of a sphere of action that is in itself extra-juridical. Two these are at odds here. One asserts that law must be coincide with the norm, and the other holds that the sphere of law exceeds the norm. But in the last analysis, the two positions agree in ruling out the existence of a sphere of human action that is entirely removed from law.
This is actually the most fascinating